Boys and girls, this is the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, and you're listening to Going In Raw, baby.
This is Charlotte, and you're watching.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson, and available wherever podcasts can be found. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, little notify bell next to it. Make sure you always get your new Going In Raw notifications. We're also available over on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. I think we might have some new patrons here. At the $1 mark, you get a shout out right here on the show. And you also get the show ad-free. You can import your RSS feed to whatever podcast app you use, as long as it's not called Spotify.
Yes.
At the $5 mark, you get a lot of bonus content. We got a bonus episode every day, Monday through Friday.
Indeed.
And that's a lot of fun.
It is.
Let me see. I don't know. We might not have any new patrons. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we do. Travis Andrews and Toby Whittle.
Thank you.
Welcome to the patron.
And thank you.
Yeah. So we are here because it is that time of the month, Larson, where we review something old.
Yeah, make it new again.
I make it new again. And this time we put three options up for vote for our $10 a month and up patrons. What were the other two options?
Wrestlemania.
We tried to go with something
1923.
like the best, the worst, and the most important.
It was 16, 19, and 23.
16, 19, 16 is 2000. 19, because 19 is supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
And then 23.
That's the one with Trump.
It's like the biggest grossing one, so it's kind of the most important one. Plus, it's kind of apropos because he's our president now. So anyways.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. Anyways. Ooh, leave your politics out of wrestling, Larson. Ugh.
It's our show.
Yeah. It's our show. In the words of Mae Young, suck it. Anyways, so we decided, or the patrons decided, WrestleMania 2000 is the way to go.
Yeah, 16.
And it was bad.
It's not a good show. I remember being there and being unimpressed. And I thought maybe it's just because I was hungover, because I was. That I don't remember it fondly or, for that matter, much at all. After watching it, I can see why it's completely and totally forgettable, save for one match.
It is highly forgettable. Exactly, save for one match.
Which is the only match I remember.
It's not even so bad it's good. Like WrestleMania 9 was bad, but my God, that was fun.
It was ridiculous.
It's fun to watch ridiculous wrestling with friendos. And for everybody who came out of the watch party, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
I have fun regardless. But man, this was an uneventful WrestleMania. Everything, all the matches except for the big tag match, felt like
it could happen on Raw or
they could have been go-home
SmackDown
matches for like a real match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was not good.
Well, I mean, add to the issues that there's only one-on-one match, and it's the match between the Cat and Terry Runnels.
Yeah.
Everything else is either a multi-person match or a tag match, or in at least one case, the latter match, a multi-team tag match.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really feels like a glorified episode of TV.
Yeah, it really did.
This is back when they hadn't made the upgrade again to running stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
So the show happened at the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, which is where they would regularly have Raws before they started in the LA area before they started doing it in the Staples Center.
So even the atmosphere felt like a Raw.
Yeah, and like the stage was different than a Raw or a SmackDown, but it wasn't huge.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I think they were thinking capacity more than anything, trying to get as many people in the building. So it was a pretty modest stage. Just a lot of it didn't feel important. They tried to make the main event feel important by inserting a bunch of McMahons into it, rather than just having a really well built up one-on-one match between The Rock and Triple H, two guys who have a lot of history up to this point that could have been capitalized on to tell an interesting story, and yet they chose to focus more so on the McMahon drama than like the stories between the wrestlers.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that was sort of my point as well. Stone Cold and Undertaker were both injured during this time, and so that's why neither of them were on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Stone Cold obviously would have been in the main event.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if it would have been another sequel with The Rock, or maybe they would have elevated Triple H as well, and it would have been Stone Cold versus Triple H in terms of one-on-one. It feels like, what it felt like was, we don't have our biggest guy, so let's put four of our four biggest guys that are available in this match.
Well, let's bring our 3 top guys and bring another one out of retirement.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it didn't feel. Instead, you could have had 2 guys who were top guys, Triple H and Rock, reignite their rivalry, which we had seen with the Intercontinental title. We had seen it with Nation versus DX. And let's have them feud over the biggest title. That would have made all the sense in the world. Instead, they bring the Big Show in, which I know he was a big acquisition a year earlier.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, a little bit more, yeah.
But, really, I guess he had been champion by this time.
I think so, yeah.
I think there was one shot of him with the championship.
But I don't know if that was him during. Here, I'll check.
But I imagine it was not a lengthy run. So I don't know. I never really saw Big Show as like a main eventer past like 1995 when he debuted.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like it would have made it feel bigger if you had a really iconic one-on-one match to anchor that main event. And instead they toss Big Show in, who gets eliminated pretty quickly in that match.
Yeah.
And then Mankind, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, whatever he was going by at this point, he's tossed in there too, and he had already retired. And so, I don't know, it watered it down. Even though the majority of the match was Triple H versus Rock, if you want a big fight feel, it's got to be one-on-one.
He won the title at the pay-per-view before Armageddon. Which one was that?
And then, the
Survivor Series.
And then the insertion of the McMahons, it was just obvious that Vince thought that was the draw.
Yeah.
And that's a huge folly. And it's funny because he never really got over that. He literally never got it, because that's what we're doing right now.
I know.
Even though it's sort of utilized a bit better right now. Back then, if you look at, for example, the Invasion poster, obviously
it's Vince and Shane. Yeah,
it's Vince and Shane.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, it needs to be WCW versus WWE.
Yeah,
that's like the big. That's the thing.
We don't really care about the McMahon
McMahons.
family drama.
We don't care about that stuff.
If you guys want to act as facilitators to tell the stories in the ring that we actually want to see, then fine. But don't make yourself the story. So
you had mentioned you were at this show.
Yeah.
You also mentioned you were hungover.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I have no idea. You mentioned that I was living, I guess time-wise that makes sense. I was living in the apartment with Jeff at the time.
During the show, but so here's a timeline I remember. So we all went to an episode of Raw or SmackDown, I think it was Raw, at the Pond several months prior. And then while there, either they were on the seat, under the seat, given to us as we left, these forms which you could fill out and get pre-order tickets for WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I did so. I think I got 4 of them. They cost $50, and that's how I went.
Yeah. I don't recall why I wouldn't have gone.
I just didn't want to spend $50.
That's honestly is probably it. Probably I'm trying to save my money right now. I could have seen that.
Yeah, we were all in college at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we were about to graduate.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know what I was doing. I was probably just watching at home. But I don't know how I would have done that. Anyways.
Maybe you went to Hooters in Santa Monica and watched it with the Miz.
I don't know if I was doing the Hooters thing yet.
Or Yankee Doodles.
I didn't do that until I moved out from the apartment that Jeff and I were living at. Yeah, it might have been Yankee Doodles. They had it. I might have gotten Yankee Doodles. I don't know if I was with Amber at the time, but I know she had like a black box or one of those cable boxes. Maybe I was watching her mom's house or something. I don't know what I was doing.
You don't know.
I tell you what, I was not paying full price for a pay-per-view.
Yes.
I guarantee you that.
Yes.
But I did watch it.
Yes.
The card kicked off with kind of a WrestleMania retrospective. Well, one of the cool things was the logo they used this year had fireworks and lightning bolts.
Yeah, and I also had like a vaguely Matrix vibe to it.
Everything was Matrix.
They got the futuristic looking fonts. They got the kind of binary code numbers in the background.
Ones and zeros.
Added to that, pyrotechnics and lightning. That's a recipe to make Larson very happy.
And everything had like a vaguely green tinge to it. Even like they had changed the logo has green in it.
And then on the microphone flags, the logo had a green stroke around it.
Yeah. So we got a little retrospective. Then we had the first match which was the Godfather and D'Lo Brown, who came down to the ring accompanied not just by the victims of his sex trafficking, but Ice-T singing or rapping.
Hip-hop legend.
And more importantly,
star of SVU and also star of one of my favorite Chappelle Show sketches.
Oh, was the Players Ball?
Player Haters Ball, man.
Player Haters Ball.
That one's great.
That's good stuff. So yeah, he rapped their theme down to the ring. That was cool.
I think he just said pimpin' ain't easy repeatedly.
That sounds right. That sounds right too.
I don't remember any of their lyrics.
Me neither.
I don't know if that's all he said, but he said that a lot.
Godfather looked pretty cool though. He had like a different outfit.
Yeah. He had like a sequin shirt.
Because most of the time he wore something that looked vaguely like a leprechaun, but with like some orange to it.
Yeah. Well, usually he had the vest
Didn't he have a
and
bowler?
the hat.
He had like a
Well, it wasn't a bowler, but it had a hat with a feather in it
Yeah.
and some bright colored pants.
Yeah.
And that now he had dreadlocks, like a white sequin shirt.
Braids, yeah.
Yeah, or braid.
Yeah.
I think they were dreads.
Aren't dreads like just when they're really, really thick and like grown out? I think his were braids.
Oh. Yeah.
I don't know the technical jargon. I just think
And then white pants. Look very comfortable.
they look very comfortable. He looked very fancy. There was one of those escorts, one of those
Who
a
fell
local
over.
LA model.
Who fell over. It looked like ringside, and then when she got in the ring, it looked like she had a hard time walking because she had these gigantic platform heels on.
It was all very uncomfortable.
Yes, they were taking on the SWAT team of Boss Man and Bull Buchanan.
Bull B
The
Squared.
Proto Shield.
Yeah. NWO Shield. Well, pre-Shield.
Pre-Shield, yes.
Shield is really NWO Boss Man Bull Buchanan, if you think about it. So, yeah, they had a tag match. Bull Buchanan's pretty impressive with his athleticism.
Yeah, he was fairly athletic. I don't remember, because he was, 6'6", something like that?
He was a tall dude.
And he did that kind of springboard clothesline on D'Lo out of the corner. That took me by surprise.
He was the original Donovan Dijakovic.
I guess so. But then at one point, Bull, after we've already seen him very adept at using the top rope for maneuvers, he's on there about to do something and just falls.
Yeah, he just
and it
falls
wasn't
off.
a botch. That was scripted. He fell and hit his crotch on the top turnbuckle.
And it wasn't like Godfather messing with
No,
the ropes.
he
or
just
anything.
fell.
He falls.
Then D'Lo hits a Frankensteiner on him. And there's this one point where Bull just kind of lightly pushes D'Lo off the top rope.
Bull's trying to be very safe as a
And
worker.
D'Lo just landed on his feet.
Yeah.
But the finish saw Boss Man hit D'Lo with his finish. And then Bull follows with an impressive top rope leg drop.
That was a good-looking top
Picking
rope
up the win.
leg drop. I wonder what Bull Buchanan's doing these days.
Didn't you check during the show
I checked.
that he retired in like 2014?
Yeah, but
He had a pretty decent 20-year career.
I guess so. Now, Bull Buchanan now.
You want to see a picture of him now?
Whoa, is he a sheriff? What? Really? Whatever happened to Bull Buchanan?
Oh, is he a sheriff?
I'm gonna
That'd be
fast
interesting.
forward Bull Buchanan.
Of life imitating art.
A year before his retirement from wrestling ring, Barry Buchanan, his name is Barry Buchanan, started working for Carroll County Jail in Carroll County, Georgia. He was made a deputy in 2014, and that is when he decided to call it quits from pro wrestling.
I wonder if
He's probably makes some good money.
I wonder if his law enforcement aspirations began when he started teaming up with Boss Man.
That could be. Where'd happen to his neck? This
Yeah, I don't
picture
know.
Doesn't look like his neck.
Yeah.
But, you know, where's Carroll County?
They said Georgia, right?
Oh, is that what it is? Georgia? Is that
Yeah, I
what
thought
we
you said Georgia in there. Yeah, Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah. Woo. Barry Buchanan. Bull Buchanan. That sounds like a sheriff's name in like a
Officer Bull.
yeah. Sounds like Smokey and the Bandit villain.
Yeah, I know.
You know, or a Bo and Luke Duke villain.
Yes. After that match, which again seemed like it could have easily happened on Raw or SmackDown, we had a Triple H Stephanie segment backstage. You mentioned this, not during this one, but the second Triple H and Stephanie. This was at the point when he was talking pretty quiet.
He had intensity, but he was still doing the soft voice that we saw from DX, you know?
We used to say more but better.
Look, you and I, we're champions now. Look at us right here.
This is the McMahon-Helmsley era.
This is the McMahon-Helmsley era that people are going to be tired of really quick. But I'm booking myself really strong these days. At some point, he went gruff.
More authority to his voice.
Yeah, I feel like that was pre-evolution. So sometime between here in like 3 years from then.
I wonder if it was when he tore his quad and came back. He just did a full reinvention of Triple H.
I remember he was gruff when he said he'd come back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble.
I mean, that's what it
That
was.
could be.
That's what it was. That would make sense. After that, we had Tim White, who was hosting some sort of hardcore battle royal meeting, setting up the rules.
Camera in a creative meeting. That was interesting.
Yeah. So he's up there. He's laying forth the rules, 15-minute time limit, but pin away. Mm-hmm. The title could change hands any number of times during that 15 minutes, but whoever holds the belt when the clock ends is champion.
Yeah.
He made it sound so simple when explaining the rules. In practice, however, a bit more complicated. We'll find out next. Because that was the next match, the Hardcore Battle Royal, where participants are Taz, who really got the short straw of WWE. They didn't do much with him. Then he got hurt.
He was great.
He was really good at commentary, at least.
He was really good at commentary.
His theme music was great.
Yeah.
His packaging, which largely was a holdover from ECW, great.
Yeah.
The singlet, the towel.
Oh, it was awesome.
He looked badass.
Oh, man.
His Tron was great with the multiple Tazes walking back and forth. Add that to the incredible theme, which, of course, is now pretty much just the Shield theme, the Roman Reigns theme. Slow down. Next, Viscera, formerly Mabel, of course, member of the Ministry of Darkness. Mean Street Posse, one wrestler, two of Shane's friends. Hardcore Holly, the former Sparky Plug.
Yeah. Shoot wrestler.
Yeah, Taka Michinoku and Funaki, Kai and Tai, the Headbangers, the Acolytes before they were the APA, and before JBL was the god of wrestling. And apparently, when did he do that thing to Edge? Was it during the APA days?
I think it would be prior to this.
Yeah, I would think so.
I would think it'd be when Edge, because Edge had, look, when they brought Edge in, that they had pushed him kind of to the moon-ish, there
was a lot of vignettes before
he immediately was like
debut,
Intercontinental contender.
Yeah.
So I assume it was sometime before this.
Yeah, probably. And then walking into the match, hardcore champion Crash Holly. He is pretty quickly pinned by Taz, like 30 seconds into the match, via Tazplex. Taz is now hardcore champion.
Yeah, I mean, this was basically like there was a lot of cookie sheets and like a lot of
garbage can lids
and a lot of 3 counts. Like a lot of people won that hardcore title during this.
Yeah, I wrote them all down. Shortly thereafter, Mabel runs Taz into the ring post, hits him with a power slam, pins him. He is new hardcore champion.
Yeah.
Then we see that Crash Holly pretty quickly busted open. Pete Gas, friend of Shane, bleeding a ton.
Oh yeah, big time.
Back in the ring, Kai and Tai, along with was it one of the Headbangers?
Yeah, it was. It was Mosh.
They all pinned Viscera. Funaki is declared the new champion.
Yeah, they run away.
No, Taka chases after Funaki because he's trying to pin him to be hardcore champion.
Oh,
himself.
I misread that. I thought Funaki ran and Taka was trying to make the getaway with him because they're as one.
No, as soon as they came out of the pinfall, Taka went after Funaki.
Oh, wow, okay.
So Taka gives chase after Funaki.
They all jog after them.
And everybody else more or less jogs after him backstage. Rodney gets to pin Funaki. And then right afterwards, friend of Shane, Rodney.
Thank you.
Right afterwards, real wrestler Joey Abs hits a gut-wrench suplex on Rodney. He's a new hardcore champion. And then Thrasher pins Joey Abs.
That was my one wish, was that none of the Headbangers would get a pin because I didn't want them to have a championship.
But, there's something to be happy about because Pete Gas then pinned Thrasher after hitting him with a fire extinguisher. So all 3 members of the Mean Street Posse won the hardcore title during the course of this match. So that's something to celebrate, Steve. And then Pete Gas eats a Tazplex from Taz. Taz is once again hardcore champion. 2-time hardcore champion no matter one match.
Do you have a preference on the flavor of Red Bull? I said original.
Sugar-free.
Oh. Okay, continue, please.
So everybody else is brawling ringside, and then you got Hardcore Holly and Crash Holly in the ring with Taz. And they're all brawling, jockeying for position, trying to end the match as champion. Crash pins Taz after a shot from a cookie sheet. And then Taz gets right back up, puts Crash in the Taz mission. Bob Holly, Sparky Plug, runs in.
With moments left to go, with like 10 seconds
it's
left.
like 10 seconds left with a plastic jar filled with candy.
Yeah.
Smash it against Crash and Taz's head. He goes for the cover on Crash Holly, referee Tim White goes down to count the pin. 1, 2. He doesn't count 3 because the original booking for this match was he's going to hit 3 count after time expires. Crash retains. However, the timing of things was off. Apparently, there was someone in there's a What Culture top 10 thing about things you didn't know about WrestleMania 2000. Apparently, there was someone in Tim White's ear, in his earpiece, counting down. So the timing would be right.
Yeah.
It seemed like Bob Holly ran in a second and a half too early with the jar of candy, and he should have noticed what the time was on the clock, killed a little bit of time before making the cover. Because once he makes a cover, what is Tim White supposed to do? He has to count the pinfall.
Yeah.
And so there's about 2 seconds left when his hand's coming down for the 3 count. So he stops and does this as if to say, Crash Holly kicked out.
Yeah.
But right as he does that, time expires, bell rings, and Finkel says, winner and new hardcore champion, Hardcore Holly. At this point, Crash is already halfway up the ramp with his title.
Crash grabs the title, runs away because he knows that, according to the book sheet, he is supposed to win.
That was the finish of the match.
And he did his part by kicking out.
No, he didn't kick out.
I thought he got an arm up.
As time expired, he got an arm up.
So he did his part by winning the match. But Howard Finkel saw that they were indicating like Hardcore Holly's arm was kind of raised, and Tim White just had this really like, I lost my car, I don't know where in the parking lot it is, look on his face.
And Bob Holly looked legit mad because that was kind of his natural disposition.
Right. Even if things went perfect, he'd probably still look mad.
Yeah.
He'd still be cursing in the ring.
Yeah.
And then there you go. And then Finkel called it for Bob Holly.
And so Tim White had to run up the ramp, grab the belt from Crash Holly, give it to Hardcore Holly.
And then apparently Tim White got yelled at backstage. But guess what? Nobody cared about this match. It didn't matter. All of it. Seriously, it didn't matter. Who cares? Give it to Bob Holly, give it to Crash Holly, give it to Taz. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, something like that happens, you just brush it under the rug, move on with your show. They showed a replay of it.
Yeah.
So, there's controversy with this finish. No, it was a botch.
Yeah.
Ignore it.
It was a goof.
It'll go away.
Exactly. Literally nobody cares about it.
Yeah, that nobody cares. Next, we had a pretty cool video package for Access, which might have been the first time it happened.
That's possible. I think at this point, no. Pritchard, I think, said that the restaurant was open all the way until like 19, like WrestleMania 19.
Yeah.
Why didn't they have this why wasn't there like more in the restaurant?
The restaurant wasn't in L.A. It was in New York. It was in Times Square, New York.
Doesn't matter. They should have done some satellite stuff. I want to see that damn restaurant. You have a restaurant in Times Square. You can't show me some footage of the restaurant?
Well, watch.
WrestleMania is a worldwide event.
Oh, my goodness.
Doesn't have to be local.
After that, we have...
it was an impressive crowd for Access, though.
It was a good crowd. We had Al Snow in the bathroom talking to somebody in a stall. In walks his tag team partner, Steve Blackman. They have a bit of a back and forth. And then Steve Blackman leaves. Al Snow opens the door to the stall. Acts as if someone just made a big doo-doo.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Next, the match. Head Cheese, which is Steve Blackman and Al Snow taking on TNA, Test, and Albert with Trish Stratus.
I kind of enjoyed this match because it when we watched it on the live stream, it allowed us to educate ourselves on the history of Steve Blackman,
Which is far more vast than I ever would have suspected.
That dude was literally in the WWF doing house shows
10 years before he jumped the barricade as a
early
fan.
as like 87.
Yeah.
The golden era of wrestling could have featured Steve Blackman. That is crazy to
That would
me.
have been something else.
But then he was on the verge, apparently like 89 or 90, something like that.
Getting signed, then he got malaria?
He got malaria and dysentery because he had traveled to South America and contracted that stuff there. And then he had to be in like bed rest for 2 years.
That's crazy. And it took him 4 years to get back in shape.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
And he did some martial arts training in the interim. Yeah.
I really liked him.
Yeah, me too.
It's funny because like back then when we were watching originally, there were so many great characters and personalities, and Steve Blackman was not a personality guy, but he really ran with that. He was the guy who most, kind of like Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock never really ran with him having no personality. He should have.
Yeah, I know.
Steve Blackman did.
Yeah.
He did everything he could to make fun of the fact that he was kind of lacking in personality.
Yes.
Which was really cool. And he was pretty decent in the ring, too.
Yeah, he was. He was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And he had a really good hardcore match with Shane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So they teamed in with Al Snow as Head Cheese. I'm not sure where did the cheese bit come from. It had to have been Blackman.
Mm-hmm.
I remember actively watching at the time. I just forget where the cheese thing came from.
Yeah, no, it was 20 years ago, man.
Yeah.
So Al, before the match starts, introduces Chester McCheeserton.
Oh, man, this guy was great.
Yeah.
Super over with me.
Yeah.
He was a short fella who was wearing a yellow bodysuit and a big foam cheese wedge costume.
Yeah, cheese wedge.
And there was like buttocks cut out of it for added comedy value.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was so great.
Yeah, it was interesting. Also, a little cool little tidbit about this match. Teddy Long
Playa.
was the referee.
Yeah, man.
The match itself was whatever. In the end, TNA pick up the win after press slam from Albert and a top rope elbow from Test. After the match, Al Snow grabs a mic. He apologizes to Steve Blackman and says, "Chester, come in the ring." Mm-hmm. Of course, he's got like a 4 foot wide wedge of cheese costume. He can't get himself in the ring. So Al Snow goes down the ringside, picks him up, and kind of puts him on the apron and pushes him into the ring.
This guy was really short.
And then helps him up.
Chester was really short.
Yeah. And Al says, it's time to part ways with Chester here. Bashes him in the head with the mic and then sets him up. Steve hits a running kick to Chester's chest, and then Al hits a top rope leg drop with some assistance from Steve Blackman.
But luckily for Chester, that cheese outfit seemed very protective.
Yes.
So I think he was okay.
Yeah, I think he was. Next, we had a segment backstage between the Cat and Mae Young where they tried to find funny, quote-unquote, and quote-unquote clever ways to hide the fact that the Cat was nude.
This wasn't really even funny when Austin Powers did it.
No.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say, oh, this is so exploitative. I get it. It was supposed to be comical, not like, sexy or whatever. Although there was a nipple slip. They didn't quite pull off the you can't see everything, but on the network they blur it.
Yep.
Boo. But yeah, they did the Austin Powers thing where they just cover up the little bits and
the body
pieces,
parts with stuff.
the junk.
So you don't see it,
and
yes.
the nipples, the buttholes. So I don't know. It was kind of amusing. After that, we had a Dudley Boys interview where they just did their thing. Bubba Ray he had that sort of. I forgot that they had sort of a Southern accent thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that sort of the idea is that, but did you put in here the cigarette lady?
No, I forgot to put the part about the cigarette lady.
So I don't know where that was in here.
It was after this.
But there
was a contest winner. Yes.
Yeah, so we can talk about it right now and get out of the way. This was great. There was a contest where the WWE, the day of WrestleMania, do you believe that was a shoot?
No, they kayfabed that.
Okay. Well, within the realm of kayfabe, they show up at this family's house who had won this sweepstakes of some sort, this WWE contest, where they would show up at their house, whisk them away, and go straight to WrestleMania day of.
Yes.
And so we're to believe that they showed up in Pennsylvania. I forget where it was.
I think it was either Allentown. Or there was an arrow going to another town the other way. I don't know which one it was.
They show up, they open up this door, and there's this lady here who was smoking inside her house, which that's fine, I guess. But like her kids are there, and then like the camera pans down.
That part's not okay.
To see her hugging the kid, and like if this is the kid's head right here, it's like, oh look, mommy, yeah, like the cigarette's right here. Oh look, and like the cigarette is right there next to that little kid's head.
Yeah, Dad's there drinking a Heine.
Oh,
it looked like,
man.
or a Rolling Rock, one of the two.
And she was sporting a homemade rock shirt.
Yeah, it just said Rock.
It just said Rock on it, and there was like some bedazzling there going on.
And so the story is they whisk them away in limousine. We don't know who's looking after the kids. We have no idea.
Dog was.
They just left the house with kids inside.
It was Dog.
Said there's some pork and beans in the cupboard up there. You know where the can opener's at. We'll be back in 2 days. We'll call in sick for school for you.
If you want some smokes, they're next to mommy's.
You know where they're at.
Yeah, you know where they're at, kid.
So they're whisked off in a private jet. Fast forward, They're sitting ringside at Mania.
Yeah.
In the same clothes.
Yeah. As one of our fellow friendos in the stream said, they probably stole the towels out of that plane that they're in. That was funny.
That was funny.
Oh my God, lady, you can't be smoking like
Yeah,
that.
you can't be smoking in front of your kids.
It's 2000. It's not that long ago. It's like 19 years ago. People knew how bad secondhand smoke was.
Those Surgeon General warnings were on cigarettes long before 2000.
Long time.
Long before.
Yeah.
Next, triangle tag ladder match: Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus Dudleys. Legendary bout.
Iconic match.
Up there with HBK versus Razor Ramon in terms of important ladder matches.
Big time.
Impactful, groundbreaking ladder matches. We don't have to go beat for beat from this match because people have seen this many times over, I'm sure. But this is the one match I remember being there in attendance, and I know why, because it's the only match worth remembering.
Yeah, okay.
After watching it again, this is like the third time I think I've seen it in total. We were doing last year we did a thing on best WrestleMania matches. I think we included this one.
Sure.
You can argue all you want if this or if their match the following SummerSlam and then the match the following Mania was better. It was maybe more, the pace was a bit higher maybe because there was a lot of setup in this one. Yeah. But the influence of this match cannot be underestimated.
Oh no!
At the time, you didn't see stuff like this in WWF. Didn't see it.
It was a star-making performance, and it's also worthwhile to note that this was the WrestleMania debut
of everybody in this match.
Jericho,
Guerrero,
Kurt Angle,
yes,
Guerrero,
Benoit,
Malenko. There's a lot of debuts.
Perry Saturn.
Yeah, a lot of debuts on this WrestleMania.
Yes.
And you also noted this What Culture article also noted, and you brought this up during the stream, that beside that Triple H, if you go back to WrestleMania 12, 4 years earlier, Triple H is the only person from that card,
which is also held in the same building, on this. And granted, you Stone Cold and Undertaker were both hurt at this time. Yeah,
because they were both at 12 also. Yeah.
So the degree of turnover was pretty high.
Was there anything, like you said, we don't have to go note for note. Watching this again, watching it in its entirety, I know we've probably seen it a couple times. This time watching it, was there anything that stood out to you?
No, because the two things I remember most watching it live was the Swanton bomb spot off the giant ladder, and then the table set up on top of the ladders being extremely precarious, and Christian not wanting to stand up because he was convinced that shit was going to fall over.
It really looked like it was. Edge had supremely huge balls for standing up. Not just standing up, but also, you can sort of use your hands as a stabilizing device. He held that title high.
Yep.
And Christian literally was just on his hands and knees.
Well, at one point he reaches out and grabs Edge's arm.
Edge's arm. He's like, no.
It was like he was about to be car sick.
The thing that I noticed about it that sort of made me chuckle, that we noted a couple times during the stream, was when Matt Hardy falls from the top platform table to the table below. That thing was so gimmicked. It
disintegrated. Basically,
it looked like you could blow on that thing and it would disintegrate into like 5 very noticeably not messy parts.
It was like a video game table,
or like a toy table.
We're scripted to break exactly the same way in the certain animation. It breaks really clean parts.
Yeah.
But that table basically blew up under him.
But it was just spot. It was great. It was fantastic.
Tons of fun.
So much fun.
Next, we had a Mick Foley and Linda McMahon interview. Foley, I think, had retired after a Hell in a Cell match with Triple H earlier in the year.
Yeah, sounds right.
He was brought back to be part of the main event, I think just because Vince wanted to give him a Mania main event before he actually retired. Maybe at the cost of potentially Chris Jericho being in the main event. He was on some of the early advertising material, and then he mentioned that he was supposed to be in it at one point, but then I guess Vince... It was weird because he had such an incredible debut, and it seemed like Vince wasn't really convinced that he had star power.
I thought I had read that Triple H wasn't a big Jericho fan. It wouldn't surprise me if that seeped up into Vince's ear.
It's possible.
Something like that. I don't know.
It's possible. Anyways, this Foley and Linda interview, it didn't make any sense for the McMahons to be involved in this, really.
No, it didn't. And also, I think part of that What Culture article indicated that Foley was having some issues with The Rock at this point. Like when he came back, I don't know. He never specified. I don't think he ever actually
He didn't mention The Rock by
No,
name. It was speculation, I think, on What Culture's part that he was inferring that it was The Rock.
But even Foley seemed kind of, I don't know, like almost disinterested.
His promo wasn't that great.
It really wasn't. He was stumbling a little bit, and I don't know how happy he was to be back for it.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know.
You know?
I don't know. Next, Terry Runnels with Moolah.
Yeah.
Took on the Cat with Mae Young, and your guest referee for this match with Val Venus.
Yeah, wearing, I do not remember this shirt, but he was wearing a shirt that clearly indicated that it had been used as the landing pad for some human seed. Written out in the words,
I'm cocked.
I am cocked. And then on the back, locked and ready to unload, all written in a very Jizzy-esque font.
White font.
White font.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And there's actually someone ringside wearing that shirt. I thought maybe they just made one of those, but nope, someone
that
actually
is
bought
definitely a shirt you would only wear to a WWE show where
In
Val
2000.
Venus in 2000,
Yeah.
where Val Venus was.
that. Yes. So the stipulation for this match is that I think if you tossed your opponent out of the ring, you won. So early on, both Terry and the Cat try to butter up Val, rubbing up on his arm,
Yeah.
being flirtatious, I guess. At one point, Terry and the Cat are brawling in the corner. Val goes to break it up, so he picks up Terry Runnels, and then Terry starts kissing on Val. Val is into it. They notice the Cat standing up. Then he drops Terry, and the Cat comes up and starts kissing on Val.
See, right there, that line, that what you just said sounds like a description of a pornography.
It does. What happens next?
Exactly.
A little bit later after, Mae Young gets on the apron, just tries to distract Val by exposing herself.
Yeah.
And while that's happening, the Cat, who Mae Young walked down the ring with, tosses Terry Runnels from the ring. Val doesn't see it.
Right.
The Cat won the match, but thanks to the antics of
the
Mae
person
Young.
she walked down with.
I know.
Yeah.
Again, later on, Mae Young gets in the ring. Val tries to get her out. Mae starts kissing him. Also, again, at this point, the Cat tosses Terry from the ring again. Val doesn't see it. But then Moolah gets involved, pulls Cat out of the ring. Val sees that. At this point, Terry's back in the ring.
Yeah.
So the Cat wins, Terry wins the match.
Yeah.
Because Val turns around, sees the Cat outside, assumes Terry tossed her out.
Right.
And then afterwards, Mae Young hit a Bronco Buster on Moolah.
After cross shopping a little bit.
And then the Cat rips off Terry Reynolds' pants.
Yeah. She was wearing flesh-colored, nude-toned thong.
Undies.
So no butthole was exposed.
After that, a brief bit with the Radicals, Eddie Guerrero, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko backstage. Eddie talking about China.
Yeah.
This is the early days when he was trying to woo China.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, did you see her face? Or it's so beaming. She has a twinkle in her eye.
Feel my Latino heat."
Yeah, and then Perry Saturn said something about, "Hey, you're not the only good-looking guy here," and I was like, "Are you talking about you?"
And then Dean, strictly business. I'm light heavyweight champion. We can't afford to lose this match. Let's go in.
Right.
And then we cut to
He was already proven his bona fides to be a WWE producer.
Exactly. So then we cut to Too Cool and China in another locker room, and they're watching that segment on the TV.
That's so
They're
meta.
watching the live
Yeah.
pay-per-view. Did they have to pay full price for that?
And China's like, "Oh, he's that Eddie Guerrero. He's so gross." So that leads to a match: Radicals versus Too Cool and China.
China was so over.
She was super over. Every little bit of offense she had, the crowd popped for.
She had that awesome firework cannon.
She came out, that's right, with the
that's
fireworks
best gimmick,
cannon.
man. Best gimmick.
And Eddie was just prime Eddie in this. Everything he did worked so perfectly.
So, like, when he was in the ring against anybody other than China, he'd be constantly looking at China, winking at her. And then when it was time for her to come in the ring, when someone tagged her in, he would run to his corner. One time he hugged the ref's legs. He was hugging the legs of his teammates. Turnbuckle, just trying not to face the wrath of China.
Yeah.
But then at one point, like, she kind of spurs his advances, so he like runs her into the turnbuckle.
Yeah, at that point it gets violent.
Yeah,
But it's within the context of a match, so it's okay. I guess. Don't think about it too much.
Yeah. Later on, Eddie distracts the ref again by hugging his legs, and then Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko take They take out Sky Too Hottie. I think they toss him in the front row. He comes back in the match. Later on, though, China hits a double low blow on Dean and Perry, and then Eddie lays her out from behind.
Mm-hmm.
But then the finish saw China reverse a powerbomb from Eddie into a powerbomb of her own. Eddie gets up. She grabs him by the front area.
It's very Joey Ryan-esque sequence here.
And then lifts him up for a military press slam. He lands. She picks him up. Sleeper hold. Kind of a zigzag type deal. Gets the win.
And crowd goes crazy for it.
Yeah.
Eddie was amazing in this match. China was such a star.
Yep. Not a great match, but entertaining nonetheless.
This was totally like prime China. This was like peak China. This was really
She should have been done a lot more than teaming with Too Cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. She should have been champion.
Yep. Next, Big Show and Shane backstage. Well, I don't know why either people were involved in the main event. Next, Kurt Angle, in a little funny bit, was talking to the head of security at the pond, and he's saying, after I win, retain both my titles, I'm going to go in the crowd and celebrate. There'd be a lot of people, kids, even adults, they're going to come celebrate with me. I need extra security to keep me safe. Can you do that? If you can do that for me, I'll sign some autographs for you.
Yeah.
And the security guy kind of no-sells him.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Jericho versus Benoit versus Kurt Angle. Both of Angle's belts, the Intercontinental title and the European title, are on the line. First fall, Intercontinental title. Second fall, European title.
I like that idea.
Yeah, I know.
I thought it was
Something they don't do enough
pretty
of.
cool. And I thought it drove home the Kurt Angle thing, how he didn't get pinned. He didn't lose his titles on either of these. Benoit picked up the first one. Jericho picked up the second one, and they got the pins on each other.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You mentioned that you heard that Jericho was not a fan of this
Yeah,
match.
yeah. I think he said
I
in
thought
one
it
of
was
his
a pretty
books.
damn good
I thought
match.
it was fun.
Yeah, it was a really fun match.
It was a really fun match. It was fast paced. The pace never let up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was really crisply wrestled. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
One thing I also noticed here is we were looking at a little bit at like what WCW was doing at the time, and obviously it was trash. But just the difference when you went to WWF from WCW, and this could be said for the Radicals in the earlier match, Jericho and Benoit here, you just came off like a star, like an absolute star. And they all did, as opposed to WCW, where there was always that thing where, well, we're never going to get past Hogan.
Yeah.
You know, we're never going to get past that crew. We're never going to win Bischoff over. So it was really awesome to see that. I always loved seeing the juxtaposition of the two. But yeah, this was a really, really fun match. Benoit picked up the first pin with top rope headbutt. And then Jericho picked up the second pin on Benoit with lion salt. And Kurt Angle was complaining at the end about, well, nobody pinned me.
Yeah.
Nobody
Those
won.
are my championships.
Nobody won this.
I'm trying to see how soon after all this that Angle picked up the world title. Because he was King of the Ring that year. Jericho and Benoit kind of feuded on and off, it looks like, in the interim. Is it SummerSlam that Angle won the belt?
It's probably better just to look up Kurt Angle.
Yeah, no, I just want to see like all the other stuff.
Oh, everything that was going on in the meantime. In the interim.
Yeah. This was the main event. Oh, so he was in the title match at SummerSlam, but lost. Rock retained.
Yeah, let's see here. Defeating The Rock at No Mercy. Looked like it was at No Mercy 2000. No Mercy.
Right. So in October.
The Rock defended the title against Kurt Angle. Angle pinned Rock after an Angle slam to win the title. Yes. Oh, and that's where Stone Cold returned.
Yeah.
To battle Rikishi, the man who ran him over. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, his star was
on the rise.
Straight to the top, baby.
Yes.
Straight to the top.
After that match, it's really solid. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Had a Vince interview. Yeah, just talking about McMahon family drama. I didn't even care.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's talking about.
Exactly what it was.
A lot of people say that we're a dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
I happen to think that's incorrect. But we're going to find out because everybody loves McMahon. McMahon.
No, not everybody loves McMahon.
No, man.
Vince.
Dial it back, Vince.
Yes. After that, another Triple H and Stephanie
Oh, you didn't know. Oh, yeah.
segment where it was kind of the same as the first time, all in hushed tones.
He talked in hushed tone.
You're champ, I'm champ. We're champs together. We're going to be champion forever.
I'm booking myself really strong these days.
Next. Oh, you didn't know. X-Pac. So, Road Dogg and X-Pac versus Rikishi and Kane.
So, you had your Road Dogg promo before the match. And this is all about Rikishi doling out stink faces. Road Dogg 8-1, Tori 8-1.
Not Tori Wilson.
No.
DX Tori.
Yes. And then Kane pinned X-Pac after a tombstone. And then Too Cool ran down the ring to dance with Rikishi. But then San Diego Chicken showed up as well. Of course, in prior years, Pete Rose had been underneath that costume.
Yeah.
So everybody's expecting that to be Pete Rose. Anyways, Too Cool, Rikishi, they start dancing. Chicken dances too. Kane, after the dancing concludes, grabs the chicken by the throat. He starts choking him against the turnbuckle. In runs Pete Rose with a baseball bat. Tries to sneak up on Kane. Doesn't work. He eats a choke slam from Kane. Stink face from Rikishi.
Yeah. Just a whole lot of who cares.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, I don't know. I kind of, number one, Pete Rose, he can take a choke slam. That's pretty impressive. He took a tombstone, as you noted, during the stream before.
And he took a stink face.
I mean, that's like the least impressive. You just sit there and have a guy rub his
chin up, and you're not getting butthole in your face.
You're right.
After that, interview with The Rock.
Kind of cookie cutter.
Yeah, it's cookie cutter face Rock promo.
Didn't go out of his way to make funnies. I like that. I like when he did that as a Rudo, not necessarily a Technico.
Bring us to our main event. Mick Foley, accompanied by Linda McMahon. Big Show with Shane.
Well,
The
apparently
Rock.
sung by Michael Hayes.
Yeah, we just learned that today.
We just learned that.
That Michael P.S. Hayes sang the first version of Big Show's theme. So that's him going, well.
Yeah, I could totally hear it.
Yeah, I
can
can
hear it in
now.
his voice.
Your bad street. The Rock with accompanied by Vince, and then Triple H, of course, with Stephanie. This is for the most part, it's long. It's about twice as long as it needs to be.
Yeah.
But partially because it's an elimination match. Partially because it's more than two people, so it's no DQ. It's chaotic. This match ended up being a bit more entertaining than I thought. There's a couple of twists and turns throughout.
Yeah.
It just went on too long. This is like a 20-minute main event that you don't have the overbooking with all the McMahons.
It was an entertaining match with a terrible finish.
Yes.
The finish was god awful.
Yes, doesn't actually make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
First one eliminated is Big Show. He just takes one rock bottom. He's gone. Like 2 minutes into the match.
Yeah.
But then there's the interesting dynamic given the history between Foley and The Rock and Triple H.
Yeah.
At this point, Foley and The Rock have had their ups and downs. They've had their I Quit match at the Royal Rumble. They've had their Rock and Sock connection. So they've seen the best of times. They've seen the worst of times. And so there's this one point where Foley has the mandible claw on Triple H. Foley lets go and pushes him towards The Rock so The Rock can lay Triple H out with the title.
Yeah.
And then Rock starts setting up for the people's elbow, and right as he's running to go to Triple H, Foley puts the mandible claw on him.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Foley wants that title in what could be his last match.
Yeah.
And then later on, Foley and Triple H team up to try to take out The Rock. So there's some interesting interpersonal dynamics going on here.
Even if this had started as a triple threat match,
It would have been fine.
that would have been a little bit better. You take the McMahons out of the situation, and you take Big Show out of
All
the
the
situation.
superfluous stuff, yes.
Yeah, and then you get like three guys who, like you just said, have a lot of history with each other, and even that would be a superior match than what we got. Just all the extra stuff.
Yeah.
Because the extra stuff played into the finish, which was the worst part of the match.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So Foley's eventually eliminated by Triple H after a pedigree, a chair shot, and then a pedigree on a chair. So you get Triple H and The Rock, which is probably what the match should have been just to begin with.
Yeah.
And they start fighting. They start brawling all over the place. Who gets suplexed to the table? The Rock suplexes Triple H through a table. We should mention this spot where or is it? I just missed it. Spot where Foley. There we go. Triple H sets up The Rock on the announce table, and then Foley goes to the second rope and goes for double axe handle. Completely whiffs on it though.
Oh God,
Looks like it
yeah.
hurt
And I don't know if
Like his midsection landed across the edge of the table.
It looked really
bad. Rough.
It looked really rough.
And so Triple H hops on there, DDTs The Rock. The table budges a little bit, but then he gets on the barricade and drops like an elbow on him just to put him through the table. Finally. So you need that visual. So The Rock and Triple H, they brawl in the ring. They brawl up the ramp. There's a suplex spot at the stage. Brawl through the crowd. Back in the ring. Brawl back up through the crowd. They're fighting all over the place. And then at one point, Vince attacks Triple H, sends him in the ring post. During that, Shane sneaks back down ringside. Of course, he had left when Big Show was eliminated. He lays out Vince. Vince gets up. They start brawling. And then Shane hits Vince in the head with a chair. So Briscoe and Patterson come down, help Vince to the back. Shane starts kind of hanging around ringside like he wants to get involved again.
Thinking about.
Yeah. So he gets into the ring, Shane does, with a chair. And The Rock sends Triple H into him. So incapacitates, knocks out Shane briefly. Rock hits a rock bottom, but too tired to make the cover. While Rock's trying to crawl over to make the cover, Shane kind of comes to. Vince runs down the ring, punches Shane right in the front area.
That was awesome.
Sends him out of the ring. Then Vince grabs the chair, acts like he's going to hit Triple H. Instead, turns and hits The Rock. Why? Doesn't make any sense. Just like 5 minutes prior, he attacked Triple H.
It's all this like, oh, well, we're family, so the motivation can now go out of the window.
You know, I thought how they could have explained it when Shane hit Vince in the head with a chair. It's like the switch went on. He's Mr. McMahon again. Heel Mr. McMahon. I don't think they explain it away at all. Anyways, Triple H goes for the cover, but The Rock kicks out. Vince then hits The Rock in the head again with a chair. But this time, that's good enough to get the pin.
Yep.
Should have hit him in the chair. He sells a chair shot. Pedigree from Triple H. Pedigree.
Yeah.
Pin.
Because you need Triple H's pedigree in there, like as the punctuating moment.
Yes.
Not McMahon hitting Rock with the chair.
Exactly.
That's stupid.
So there's one between Vince and Steph. They hug in the middle of the ring. Granted, Triple H just successfully retained the title at WrestleMania. And we don't really see him at all again.
No. He disappears.
Yeah.
He disappears. He shows up like after, because then Rock, like, he comes back. He's like going to the back, but then he turns around and sees what's going on, and he comes running back. He gives rock bottoms to everybody and punctuates it with Stephanie. And then you see he leaves, and then Triple H sort of crawls over to Stephanie. And
I feel like you really needed that moment. Because the way it played out, it's just all about the McMahons.
It's all about the McMahons.
You need the moment where you have Vince and you have Stephanie and you have Triple H in there. All embracing.
And then, of course, at the end of the following WrestleMania 17, what do you have? McMahon. You have him in the Stone Cold heel turn. Like, I understand. And here's the thing. I can even understand that where McMahon's coming from, in that his rivalry with Stone Cold was big money. Yeah. And so you think, well, even if I and I know McMahon can never separate himself from his ego, but I understand I'm McMahon. I understand that my presence has proven out to draw viewers, and it might be cloudy in terms of how far do you want to take that. Yeah. But in this case, it was too far.
Yeah, the focus, as we can see by the end of the contest, was squarely on McMahon. Triple H should have been there. I mean, maybe the rationale was, well, Triple H can't be in there when The Rock comes back down to duel at rock bottom. Yeah. We didn't want our champion taking a rock bottom. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Find a way around that. You know?
Yeah. It was
you need that moment where you have a handshake or something between Triple H and Shane. So the focus is still on your champion.
Right, exactly.
But we don't get that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was. And then, of course, our sentiment wasn't, it's not exclusive to us. The crowd started chucking all sorts of garbage into the ring. Yeah. They were not excited about that finish either.
Not at all. No.
So,
not at all.
That's not surprising.
Next pay-per-view, Rock beat Triple H for the belt, too.
Oh, God, really? Gee whiz. I mean, there's a lot of talent to go around, so they were trading that thing left and right back then. So, was what it was. Can't sit here and say good stuff. There was that one iconic match. There was some silly stuff. But by and large, WrestleMania 2000, kind of a turd.
Yep.
Kind of a turd of its pay-per-view. But we enjoyed watching it with the friendos.
We did.
Let's see here. We're in March. So, yeah, the next one we'll probably do, are we going to do another Mania one?
We'll see.
It's going to be after Mania, but it's still, what we could do? Maybe the next one could
we
be.
should do the best, the worst, and most important pay-per-view after WrestleMania of all time.
What about this? Best, worst, most important Raw after Mania of all time.
Oh, we could do that.
Because it'll be after Mania.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
It'd be fun to watch a Raw also. Anyways. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Be a part of Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steven Larson. Starting at $1 a month, you can enjoy Going In Raw ad-free, gain access to the daily 30-minute Going In Raw post-show, exclusive merchandise, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today. Click the link in the description.